news have is that the budget probably going to stretch out. You guys probably know more about this because it's political posturing, is my understanding. There's going to be, is it the nominations are due, or it's over my head. I'm not a politician, but it sounds like we're collateral damage on this, or that there's a bigger game at play, and that our budget will be held up until that plays itself out. Any questions or comments on what you guys might know or think, or agree or disagree? Petitions are due the 1st and something by the 30th. Anybody help me there? What has to happen by the 30th?
All petitions in the state of Illinois have been turned in for primary as of December 1st.
And then,
I don't know what 30 days is.
okay, they're going to meet December 1st. I guess Rauner and Madigan are supposed to sit down December 1st, and I think that's after that magic deadline comes and goes. Make sense? Doesn't to me, but they got close. I've got 2 letters if anybody wants to come get copies of them, one from Chapin Rose and one from a senator in different part of the state, not our senator, and basically saying what happened last week. They got real close on a House bill. Everyone passed it, and then it got stalled. So motor fuel tax may return. We're not counting on it, but we think it's getting closer. Number 4, policy and procedure, voluntary reverse comp time. Just want to make sure the board knows that the highway department is making internal changes to make sure that we can provide snow and ice control for the constituency, and one of those internal changes is we put together a voluntary, it's a key phrase, voluntary procedure for anyone that wants to sign up, that will give them Friday off in return for overtime. So if they're going to fight snow on a Saturday night, the time that's going to pay for that's last Friday. Yeah. And they jumped on it, so there was some grumbling in the public. I heard some grumbling when the news got out that this wasn't fair to the employees. Why are you giving up your overtime to... Oh, they're taking the overtime from you. Well, no, we're not. You're getting Friday off. They're in good weather, so it was voluntary. They all signed up for it.
They're voluntary.
Just want to make sure you guys are aware of it. You might hear some grumbling. The highway department employees are in favor of it, and they had to sign a sheet saying that they were in favor of it. I think it's a great idea. Any comments on that or questions? Any comments or questions on our FY16 local levy budgets that have been turned in and are on display, right, Jeff? Any board comments on? They're very, very different than last year. Okay, then 6 and 7, typically you guys would have had our motor fuel tax. It's called a BLR 14221, where I come to the board and ask you guys to appropriate some money to spend, motor fuel tax money to spend, and you didn't get that this year, and I don't think you're going to get it from the highway department probably till mid-year. So we're basically not spending motor fuel tax as of January 1st. It's very much an oddity. Typically that would have been resolved before the new year starts. So basically we are shut out of motor fuel tax starting January 1st by our own choosing. As far as the townships go, typically we put their same estimate of costs together, and their costs for the year are based on anticipation of motor fuel tax allotments. This is the first year ever that we are not going to allow anticipation of allotments, so they can only spend what they have in their accounts, which is very little. You might hear something about that. Ameren, Illinois, they're pushing pretty hard. They're all of a sudden in a really big hurry. We've talked many times. There is a draft road use agreement. It's 20 pages long. I didn't want to give everybody a 20-page draft road use agreement unless you come ask for it. Pretty generic. They want to pay the highway department $8,000 to administer. Basically, they'll film before and after the roads. There's structural analysis that have to be done. They want some latitude off-season to bring heavy loads in. 20-page road use agreement. It'll be between the county board and Ameren when it finally comes to fruition. 3 of the 4 townships have asked us to facilitate for them. Only Grandview is not sure. So Kansas, Sims, and Elbridge have all said, you guys lead. And you guys, literally, the county board will be in the agreement, and you will lead through this office unless you want to do something different. Any questions on that? It's picking up steam. Tall structure ordinance still draft form, nothing new there. I did see a wind tower ordinance in Boone County or something like that on the Watchdog's website. I thought that was interesting and very wise, where they required them to be a half mile back because the fiberglass catches on fire and can throw it a half a mile. Kirk probably knows more about than I do, but bottom line is I think a tall structure ordinance is something Edgar County wants to continue to pursue. I was very impressed with what I read about Boone County. I don't know if it has teeth. Kirk probably talked about it for 2 hours, but
What area, where is that in the state?
quickly, Kirk, can you touch on that?
Not up by Danville, is it, or
You
Champaign?
You know, I don't recall.
Boone County is way up north.
Boone County's up north.
Rockford, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not Rockford County, but it's right next to
I
it.
just noticed one up. by
Belvedere, I think, Boone County.
Yes.
So these utility junkyards is what some people call them. There are counties that are finally saying, wait a minute. And Boone County was one of them, and I really liked what I read, so.
Have they started building your communications
That's
tower?
another whole, they haven't started building it yet. There's a lot of dialogue. You gotta remember that I'm the county engineer and I'm a private owner, so I wear two different hats in that. So the private owner's just going crazy, saying, come on, this don't put a tower 400 feet from my house. And then the county engineer who works with the road commissioner saying, you know, we might improve that corner and we need tall structure ordinances. It's really difficult for me. It's almost safer for me to wait till that gets built and then start raising cane. They haven't started yet,
Okay.
but I'm not happy about it. I'm still fighting as a private citizen.
I didn't know if you'd stopped to it or if there's.
I'm trying. I'm trying. If the county board wants to push me as your county engineer, I would like that. But I'm not gonna plant that in mine. Yeah, I would like to think that you guys don't like tall structures close to homes. I would like to think that you think that way, and as part of the plat committee, who helps with the regulations and the subdivisions, we don't have zoning or ordinances, I would like to think that you guys would be more than willing to say, to take whatever Boone County did and say, change Boone to Edgar and let's pass that. You with me?
Can you get us a copy of that,
Yes.
of the Boone County? so
Yes,
we
and
can
I've
take a look at it?
also got a county tall structure ordinance draft together, a very significant tall structure ordinance draft together.
One other quick thing, how come they don't put that on the water tower down there? I mean,
Again, Jeff's gonna kick me if I get talking too much. I think their methods are to find someone that's willing to come out and play and then quickly get that done before anybody else. There's no one else in that neighborhood, no one that knew that this was coming, including the water district, including me who's across the street. They never even approached me. I'll give them the ground if they'll get it away from my house. Instead, they're gonna pay a 30-year lease to somebody. But I think they're smart enough and have done this long enough that they say, you know what? Let's get this done before someone can get in the way. Right, Andy? Let's get this done and in the ground. There's a key point, that's when foundations go in, that the rules kind of change, and they basically want those foundations in before you guys even get a chance to think about it.
Don't they have a bunch of flags or something out
Yeah, they
there?
got stakes out there now.
I thought I went by it on the highway the other day and saw something there.
Yeah. I'm getting kicked really hard. Is that you, Jeff?
Jeff, I'm not kicking, these are good questions.
Okay, if you guys want road use agreements, tall structure ordinances, any of these, I've got lots and lots of information. It'd be this thick if I try to give it all to you, so just stop by anytime, we'll be glad to discuss it.
Aaron, what kind of tower is
Which one?
the one you're talking about by your house?
Cell tower.
A cell tower?
Yeah.
For,
That's Verizon's. It's a long story, it's not Verizon's. Verizon says that we need a tower in this area, and then people run out there and put towers up so that Verizon can lease it. Does that make sense? So I say I don't have very good coverage right here, and then my consultants say, oh, well, maybe we can change that for you.
understand AT&T's looking for a place too.
Yeah, they can have my house. My house is available if they want to buy it.
How big a structure is it?
300 feet. It's another thing, fire protection, and there's just, this could go on and on and on. They can't fight it. We don't have the resources. Again, Kirk's an excellent resource on this. They can't rescue on it, right, Kirk?
Correct. We don't have any high angle rescue Champaign is the closest.
And Gates can't either, so Gates can't, if somebody gets upside down on top of that tower, whatever, a worker, or whatever, they can't get him. There's a lot in this that.
They can't rescue the guy that changes the bulb on the WPRS tower either. I mean, you know.
Good point.
Yeah, so,
And these guys wear radiation badges to go up there, and, yeah, I could talk for hours on that. If you ever wanna have a special study session on that, let me know. Kicking me. I'm gonna work with Jeff to get a material quote for fuel. Fuel's at a remarkable, all-time low since I've been here, so the highway department thinks we can get a less than 30 material proposal, which is.
That doesn't mean I'm gonna sell it to him. It just means I'm gonna work to identify the price.
So we're trying to buy 6 months worth of fuel. while
can
it's
we
low.
afford it, we can afford to do that?
Let's say it differently, Mike. That's a good question.
We can't afford not to, is what you're,
Exactly.
yeah, okay.
We will consume fuel. If you want us to do anything, we're going to consume fuel. So, yeah, it's a loaded
It
question.
makes
So it's
sense.
half what it was
Oh,
a
yeah.
year,
Oh,
or
yeah.
18 months ago or a
You
year
don't pay
ago.
tax on it, do you?
Mhm.
They don't pay federal road tax and they don't pay sales tax. They do pay
State tax.
state's road tax.
So that the board knows, I'm gonna work with the chairman and try to get a small material, a less than 30,000 material proposal executed between now and the next time we meet, unless the board has any comments or questions or concerns. Augie and I will be working on the road and bridge committee dates for next year, right, Augie?
That's correct.
So as soon as the board determines when your county board meetings are, which will happen,
We're gonna discuss that this morning.
Okay.
And it'll be up for a vote and probably not probably, on the December meeting.
at the December meeting. So then that means the Monday before the December meeting, Augie and I will have to have gotten together so that I can hand you your road and bridge and NFT committee meeting dates the next time we meet. So Augie will be getting me the county board meetings, and Augie and I will sit down alone and hash this out, right? Just the two of us.
Certainly.
We will also improve the communication.
Yeah.
Even though we're posted once a year, the Augie will have communication with Aaron, and when he sends out our notices and our agenda, we'll also know, like this morning, we were technically supposed to have a road and bridge at 9 o'clock, so we'll head those things off at the pass.
And mine's just a study session, so, I mean, I don't really do,
Right.
there's no action taken there.
Right.
Okay, then I'm about done. Local projects, nothing's changed with Vermillion Road. We're still at MFT. Until MFT comes back, we're not doing anything. Federal program update, Heaton's Dip has not been suspended. We'll probably sugarcoat the rock and get it ready for the winter, but it's done. Major bridge still on for January. We still don't have our TBP. We're still headed for a collision course where you guys will have to make a decision on my recommendation on whether or not to award that. Anybody want to comment? I'm leaning toward yes. I think if you get $1 million grant and you have to come up with a local share that, they have sent out the circular letter that says the township bridge money has been released. We just don't have it. So January's coming, and we're gonna have a low bidder, and they're gonna ask us for concurrence to award.
Who said they released the township number?
The central office sent circular letters, and they sent us a
State
circular letter.
says.
The state said, the central office said this township bridge program for FY16 has been released, and you should get it any day. That was 2 months ago or whatever, but it's coming, so we need to really start having serious conversations. I'm gonna push hard we can't let this grant slip away.
It's just a ledger transfer.
I don't know what it is. I don't want to scare the county. Major Bridge Prairie's Edge is completely on hold. PDR over at Central's office, and they're not even looking at it, so. Any old business that the board would like to bring up? Or new business? Anyone? Any public comment?
Which meeting are we in?
We're in the Road and Bridge meeting. Road and Bridge study session. No public comment? Okay, seeing none, I appreciate it. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Aaron.
I think Aaron should be congratulated on his daughter's article in the paper.
Yeah. The only way you can congratulate is to buy a book. Not to buy it.
Sounds good. You get a discount?
And I brought copies along. We'll give you a
Discount,
discount.
okay. That was a good article.
Thank you, yeah, she's doing a great job. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, we'll move into the study session. We'll start by pledge.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I take it you've noted everybody's here, and we have everything rolling that's supposed to be rolling. Obviously, we're missing Alan. So, we'll move into public comment.
I just emphasize, would appreciate consideration on the 911 board issues and those appointments. I think it's long overdue for some changes on some of those people. They've been there long enough. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kirk. Rob?
My name is Robert Bogue, and I'm an Edgar County resident. Gosh, what could I talk about this morning?
Well, you don't have to.
I feel like you have to.
What could? I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you folks that Jerry Griffin's still at the airport. Isn't qualified to be there. He's lied about the activities at the airport. He hasn't been truthful. And I would hope that you folks would do the right thing and discharge him, but that hasn't happened. Seemed like the right thing to do. The question is why you haven't. Why haven't you? Some people have said, well, the county board's not smart enough. I've argued that that isn't the case at all. I believe you guys are very intelligent. I just believe you decided not to do that, not to discharge. So, there'll be more on this on Wednesday. Wednesday's a county board meeting, I understand. That's all I've got for this morning.
Thank you. Is there any other? No more public comment? Then we'll move into committee reports. Andy, why don't you go over what you've got, so we all understand and we can help you with it.
As far as replacing the flue on the courthouse, I probably should have done this earlier in the year, but I was concerned about how these things work on such a large boiler as this. I didn't want real hot flue gases out near the ground where you get somebody coming late at night, thinks it's warm, goes to sleep, doesn't wake up. But I called the manufacturer of the boiler and talked to them. They said, yes, this is done every day. And then I called the manufacturer of the power vent down in North Carolina and talked to them. And he said that, he goes, the flue gases that come out of this aren't as hot as what you are imagining them coming out of the top of a house. It actually mixes with cooler air. He goes, it's like around 250 degrees or something that comes out. It's not super hot like you touch a flue on a furnace. So
flame shooting
it's
out
not
of it.
right. He says it mixes with it.
Burger.
Yeah. So I got the okay from, I felt a lot better. I did meet with Harris Refrigeration this morning, and where he wanted to come out with it, he wanted to move, I don't know if anybody's familiar where the louvers are that open when it burns. He initially wanted to move those over to the side and put it coming out that. I was a little concerned about, there's some trees and things around there that I didn't want. It's a possibility this could damage like some trees or something if it's too close to it, so.
Is he talking about cutting another hole in the side of the courthouse?
I don't, on the side where the bathrooms are,
Mm-hmm.
there's a window over there by there, and you can come through, straight through that, and there's not as much, there's a couple yew bushes over there that really don't look very good anyway, probably wouldn't hurt to
Well, they won't look very good after.
Well, 250
Yeah,
degrees.
They only may be 80 foot tall in a week,
Or dead.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, they're not real close to it, they're a ways from it. I think it'd be better to come out and go that, and we all agree that that's a direct shot. It's not, it might cost a little more for a little more piping to go out that way, but I think it's a lot better plan to go out that way then to move the louvers and come through the other way. There's some electrical lines and things that would have to be moved to come through where the louvers are, and this is a direct shot. I think it's the best way to go.
What's the bottom line on it, Andy?
Here's his,
Everything.
$8,750. There may be a small amount more for extra piping, but like less than $1,000 for extra piping at the most. But to go through the roof with another flue, you're talking $25,000-$30,000.
Well, obviously, we wanted to make sure everybody understood what we were talking about here. And it sounds like you've come up with a reasonable,
And your biggest worry was some local bum that didn't have any place else to sleep would crawl underneath there
Think
and
about that, too.
Yeah.
fricassee himself.
Shoot across the street from shooters. And
Andy,
go
with
to
that
sleep.
existing pipe, are we just gonna leave it in there, or are we gonna,
Well, at some point, I'd like to get that out of there. It's pretty invasive, and maybe if you've ever seen it, you know where it comes up, goes through the downstairs courtroom, and then
Up.
up through a stairway in the back, and
it's like a ride from Hollywood?
rusted out all the way up to the top. Yeah, it is.
so are you proposing to deal with this now or in the future?
That doesn't have to be dealt with right now, and that doesn't have to be a heating air conditioning guy. You know, you can get.
Yeah.
Well, where it goes through the roof, you know, eventually, if we have to do something with the
Cover
roof,
that up.
I'll be a part of that, just to get it eliminated.
Well, that'd be good.
That would be.
Because they've got the leak,
They
They
done
got
a
the
good bit
leak.
of patching around it, yeah.
yeah.
But there are, you can see daylight through the pipe
So
before it
that'll
gets to the
solve this
roof.
problem.
So that'll solve all that.
That's good.
Well, just to back up, so the louvers, are they intakes, or is that something
They're
separate?
intakes.
Okay, and so that was part of the
See
two-part concern, was
Yeah.
plant death and basically blowing exhaust near the intake, right?
Right.
Okay.
And this way it comes, it actually comes around over next to that portico on the west side, so it gets it away from the louvers. And there's a gas meter right there, and then the louvers are over here, and it comes through. And I'm pretty pleased with.
So is
What
everybody got their questions answered, so we're all on board where this is in the agenda, item number 9 for Wednesday, so that we can
The
effectually.
only concern is we don't have to get some kind of approval from some historical perspective because we're modifying but I shouldn't even probably be throwing this out, but just worries
Probably
me
shouldn't.
that maybe if we poke a hole in a historic monument, or do we have to are we in trouble for doing that, that's what I'm saying. Is there some way that we're bound by some
It's
kind of
my
thing?
understanding I've been told, but no one's really confirmed, or maybe you might know, or I don't know, but the only part that's on the historic register is the fence, the stone wall all around the courthouse. The courthouse itself isn't.
Okay, I mean, I just want to throw that out.
I believe the courthouse is.
The courthouse is.
I believe it is.
Well, we're dealing with health and safety here also.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm not against it, I'm just saying.
No,
if
I
we-
didn't take it.
But he's
I-
not drilling through the foundation, it's just an existing.
It's
Say,
an existing
plus
window. A lot of those
It's
have
already
been, there's already a hole there. We're
Okay.
just,
And if we had, if somebody came to us later and said, we'd appreciate if you did a little cosmetics, I guess we could do that.
Okay,
Now, if Abraham Lincoln put the window in or something.
yeah, well, that's what I'm worried about, you'll find Abe's letter there,
Dead
I put this
already.
window in.
a lot of your, first off, those organizations really don't have much teeth. They'd like you to think they do, but they don't.
Well, but we still need to be sensitive.
And that's true, and I actually think this is better historically to the building than what we've got up there right now, so
Okay,
that being said.
Do you have anything else,
Fi-
Andy?
Final question would be, where's that put us with budget-wise, and do we use that?
This will be out of next year's, correct?
And there's a $90,000 line item. Obviously, we have to be, we can't just willy-nilly.
No, this is
We've been
important,
talking
just
about
make
this
sure
for,
we're
what, a
extending
couple of
somewhere.
years. Anything else,
That's
Andy?
it right now.
Mr. Brunner, I almost called you Mr. Zuber.
Zabrunner.
Zabrunner,
the Bruner, that's a good name,
We don't look alike, but we all, but.
the Brunner rule.
you think alike.
Yeah.
We'll have to tell you
Yeah, I
about
have to
that
explain
sometime.
that, right? That was kind of a big statement, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's okay, go ahead.
Animal shelter fine, I was out there last week and to see my, 2 favorite cats, and the dogs are fine, so. We received an estimate for $5,700 for the asbestos removal to the health department. We're meeting next week with Sycamore Engineering, the asbestos company, and Janet to decide what we wanna do, so. And nothing will be decided until the January meeting, so. So right now, the total estimate is about, 125 to replace the furnace, the asbestos and so forth. And our budget's 150, so we're still in pretty good shape.
Did they think that's pretty reasonable on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Sounds
thought so.
reasonable to me.
Yeah, it does. real
5700.
I've never heard of an asbestos job that wasn't 10,000 bucks.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
so
that sounds
we,
good.
we thought it was pretty good. So
Okay.
that's where we're standing. We'll let you know, after the meeting on January, the more details. Should be able to finalize it, and hopefully they'll start maybe when the weather warms up next year. I don't think we'll do anything in January.
Is the heating system working now?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
Once in a while, they gotta call somebody in to do something, but it's working, so.
They're gonna nurse it along for a couple of
Right.
months, and then as soon as they can, start working.
Are there any canaries held at the shelter? That might be helpful if it's an exhaust issue.
Where'd this bird come from?
I don't think we have any.
It's a safety issue. Keep,
Yeah, right.
keep the canary there in case there's an exhaust issue.
Yeah. I don't think they have one there either, but I can get one.
Derek, up here in these parts, we got these things called carbon
That's all right.
monoxide. They run on a little battery.
Never heard of down Christmas.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Not
You
like
could put
in,
in the papers that we've lost our minds.
Yeah.
not like in the mine, coal mine. Okay.
Has anybody been there to look at it this year? That you know of?
She had somebody, but I think it's more the air conditioning and not the heating. She had somebody come in about a month ago and did something with it, so.
You mean like a
They've
preventative,
got-
just to make sure?
Well, they've got a louver system on that, similar to the one at the courthouse. And last year when we were down, I went with Paris Refrigeration, we went down there to look at the system, and that louver was not opening.
Yeah. They've got a lot of problems.
I know, I just wondered, so,
But somebody asked about carbon monoxide, and somebody said yes, there was, but Janet says they have a system that monitors carbon monoxide, and she said they've never had trouble with it, so that would be my main concern.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, yeah.
All right, Dan, anything else?
No, that's fine.
Michael?
Can't think of a single thing.
That's unusual.
Derek?
Okay, so a few airport pieces. The FAA came back with some with a report based on their scans, if you will, for their approach plates they're going to build for our airport, with a few discrepancies. Trees, which we've known about for a little while. So I guess there's a few trees, windsocks. We're on top of that piece. There's a ground, they call them penetration. So basically, they lay a hypothetical plane over top of the airfield that's within the specs of the approach itself, and anything that basically enters into that plane is a consideration for flight. So there's a piece of earth, according to the report, that it basically sticks up at the end of the runway, so we need to go out and visually inspect that. The main goal with a lot of this is basically if we can avoid an official survey, which obviously costs money, that's what we'd like to do. So we're going to look into that. And there was also a negative penetration from the road. Barry was unclear on why that appeared. If that was just a mistake in the system, or there's some sort of other regulation about, each highway basically has a 15-foot safety envelope over top of it. He was going to look into that for us, but that shouldn't be a major issue. The project, that official proposal came back out with basically removing the east apron, and then also some duct work. He said they dug into that as far as more specifics on that project, and found that there's a duct work for electrical piece that needs to go in for the fuel farm. That shouldn't be a cost issue. We can tag that on to this project, and it should cover us as far as any infrastructure that goes in underneath. And then finally, they sent us a bill to the tune of, I think it was $12,000 and change. And so I guess the question is for the board, do we want to negotiate that? What our thoughts are on how we're going to go about that? You said you had some thoughts as well.
Well,
So
we need to talk to the board about it and figure out how we're gonna deal with it. Those expenses were run up when we clarified when the application was stopped. Those were the expenses that revolved around that issue, that they had to put in extra to get us to the point we're at now. And they would like consideration. The original bill, I think, was 17, almost 18,000, and they've dropped it down to 12. They tried to get the state to pick up part of it, and the state is not inclined to do so. So that 12,000 is something that we're going to have to, I believe, negotiate with them. I think that some of the issues that we've had are because they weren't clear on some of their verbiage in that original application, and that, you know, there's responsibility bore on both sides. So that's my thoughts. As far as paying for it, there are funds in the aviation fund to pay for those items. So, okay? That's all I had. So as far as a discussion.
Do you still have your trees growing out there that's in the way?
They're on top of that, yeah, but that's in process.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Okay.
So what's your feelings on that? You think we still should negotiate even more on, obviously, the 12,000?
I think so. I think we should at least talk to them about it.
Okay.
Barry indicated, and when I talked to him back when I was chairman of the, on the board out there, and they are willing to do that. So if they're willing to do that, I don't think we
There's no
should.
reason why we shouldn't do that.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, they weren't offended by the thought, and I did just share all the ideas I just shared with you, I shared with them. So it's not gonna be anything new to them.
Okay.
And then if Derek and his committee negotiate and they bring back a number, then the board's gonna have to decide
Decide whether we,
how we wanna handle that particular issue. And that would be before the full board.
okay.
Don't you agree, Derek?
So at this point, I take it we'll wait to see what you and your committee will negotiate.
Unless you feel differently, Derek.
Well, I feel like I'm a little,
About the middle.
underprepared, because I don't have all the information for all the things that went down. I mean, I can reach back to the airport committee
Okay.
and figure that out. I'm basically just taking the information that I have to hand and discussing with Barry. So he actually was filling me in on a lot of the, goings on and how all this came in place, because I just flat out asked him what the situation was. So, other than that, my knowledge of what's going on here is limited, so.
Okay. Do you have a breakdown of what they, I take it's hours
Then we
worth?
send us an itemized bill. He did actually, he's got some of it.
When he's traveling from Indianapolis to St. Louis, can he stop off and maybe we have a brief meeting, or maybe we could have a phone conference and talk about it? And reiterate how we feel. And Carl's been around, or me, either one of us could probably, handle that with you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that works.
Yes, sir?
This question, Derek, do we still have the same advisory committee, or have they talked about increasing?
So we haven't had a meeting
members?
yet,
Okay.
so we
So you
are
have
still,
names to increase?
we have
Okay.
one name
Oh, okay.
to replace, and then a few names to increase.
Okay, just one.
And that's all I've got.
Are you comfortable with where we're at on this now?
Yeah, I'll get ahold of Barry and see when it's time to get together, and I'll reach back to you guys. We'll find a time.
Thank you. Carl?
Don't have anything other than we need to go to executive session to discuss about negotiations.
I understand, Carl. Augie?
I emailed out your agendas and most of the board packet. And are there questions on any of those items for me?
Now, you're going to, at the next board meeting, in the first board meeting in December, you're gonna have a schedule for us to vote on, as for the meetings and the,
Yeah, that was, the other thing I wanted to mention was we need to be thinking about meeting dates and times for the board meetings and the study sessions. I know we discussed this a year ago. Obviously, at that time, the overwhelming consensus was to leave it alone and keep it the same. But I bring it up now to be thinking about it. Now, I don't have anything to give you, but I can certainly put together a calendar, and I'll send it out to you. I'll get Carl a copy, and then Aaron and I will get together and coordinate our calendars. And I'll give you something to look at before the next study session, so we'll be ready to study it when we get together. How's that?
When do we vote on the holiday schedule and that kind of stuff?
Well, you've already done that.
Okay, we already done it for next year?
Yes. Yes. Filing opened up today, 8 o'clock. For candidates, we had some filers in, but no lottery is necessary, so no simultaneous filings for the same office.
That it?
I think that's it.
Jeff, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Okay, well, I would entertain a motion if somebody would read that item number 5. And then I'll have to have a second on that.
I'll be the second. You want me to read it?
Well, somebody needs to-
Alan always does it.
Yeah, but you're first.
I move to go into closed session, to discuss the employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, pending litigation and negotiations.
You do it better than Alan.
Derek made the motion and Mike Helsley seconded.
Yes.
All those in favor of going into executive session, as those outlined in the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I have to,
Do you want Sahib meetings? I
No,
don't
sounds like
care.
something good.
I know what kemosabe means,
Yeah.
absolutely nothing, they made that up.
Yeah, they did.
All those in favor signify, or, do we have a
Move to
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn? Yeah, we
Derek.
have one, Derek, second.
Mike.
Andy seconds, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is it off?
Could I ask a question?